Hello everyone, my name is Pietari Keskinen. I'm from Aalto University, Finland, and I'm presenting you my research plan for the doctoral dissertation. Just as a note, I'm looking to do the dissertation by publication, so I'm looking to write four different papers and then a kind of like a collection or summary part of the for the dissertation, and I'm gonna present all the papers that I'm planning to write and the theoretical background to them and also the current situation and the schedule. So the sustainable livelihood approach is the main theoretical framework that I'm using. It was launched by it appeared in 1990s and it has been developed and used since. It discusses the livelihoods as or how different groups of people or communities, families, or also individual people can earn livelihoods, and the livelihoods are understood as a little bit wider concept than just the money, but as a food, as a security, as all other things that are needed, and it separates the context where they operate, all the external stakeholders they operate with. It mentions these assets, which are basically the strengths that they have in using in doing something to earn the livelihood, and then they use different kind of strategies to earn the livelihood, and in the livelihood outcomes we see the different outcomes that the strategies can bring to the people. So this approach has been recommended for using to be used with in digital services by Dr. Professor Geoff Walsham quite recently, but he pointed out that in many cases in ICT4D projects the practitioners and academics, they look at the livelihoods parts and forget the sustainability, which means that we are often too eager to create something new and then just give it to the communities and then pretty much leave and not care about how sustainable the solutions are. So I'm looking in my dissertation to kind of like deep drill into that and to create some kind of framework for supporting the sustainabilities of the livelihoods that have been created. And just as kind of like a note, I'm funded by, we have this project called Fusion Grid with that we have funding for. It is a joint project by a couple of universities here in Finland and also NAST. And we have a solution for creating microgrid, local electricity network, and also local mobile connectivity, and we are building some digital services on that. So here are my research questions. The main research question for my doctoral dissertation is: what is the sustainability of the livelihoods created by a technology intervention for micro-entrepreneurs in sub-Saharan Africa? And micro-entrepreneurs in this case are pretty much anybody who is earning livelihood some way without a regular employment. So they might be, they might be farmers, or they might sell something or do whatever, like these small things. I'm especially interested about like these people who are not really having like this entrepreneurial drive, who are kind of like surviving, trying to survive by doing different kind of odd jobs. And then I have divided this into 4 sub-questions, which all discuss a little bit different areas of the sustainable livelihoods approach. And so this is how I have structured my dissertation. So I have this 4 papers that discuss the different areas of the model, and then in the summary I will kind of like put it all together and present a framework for improving the outcomes from the projects. And then this is the my first paper, or the research question 1. It won't be the first paper that I write for this project. It discusses the vulnerability context, which is basically all the threats that affect the people looking to earn a livelihood. I see this as kind of like, I haven't created my research plan has been kind of like living, and I haven't. It has been quite iterative, and it has changed during the when new things have appeared for the project, and so I don't have very detailed plan for carrying out the research, but I see this as a kind of like a qualitative action research that can be done here in Namibia. I'm trying to kind of like describe the context where the people operate and elaborate a little bit what kind of digital services could be helpful for them in that context to earn their livelihoods. And we have the local crowdfunding platform Namstarter that has been created by NAST, and we are now trying to improve it and make it work better. Then I have the second research question that discusses the assets or the different strengths that the people have for earning the livelihoods. So there are 5 different types of assets described in the livelihood or in the approach, and I'm by the Namstarter, which is a crowdfunding platform. It's going to provide the community with financial assets, which is basically money. But I'm kind of like my hypothesis is that by adapting this system, the community also the different kinds of assets which will improve. So they will learn new skills which creates improves the human assets that can be used later in also different scenarios. The community might come better together, so which would improve the social assets and so on. And this will be done in actually quite soon, and those actually these Namstarter studies that I look to write 2 papers about will take my next year. So actually currently I'm in the middle of writing this paper. So earlier this year I visited 2 villages in Tanzania that are partaking there is a Finnish small startup called Duara Travels that have provided a platform for communities to post, kind of like announce themselves and for the tourists to book a stay in the community. And I stayed in a couple of communities and we looked with my assistant at what kind of livelihood strategy is this part, kind of like hosting tourists for the communities. And I'm actually right now I'm finishing the paper and I'm looking to submit it to a journal quite soon. Then I have the last paper. that will discuss the livelihood outcomes. And at this point, this is kind of like where I'm mostly kind of like, this is the most vague of my research, or part of my research plan at this point, because we will look at the outcomes of the project, of the Fusion Grid project that we are starting and piloting soon, and yeah. So I know that I'm going to use some kind of qualitative methods, but I cannot really describe that much more at this point. And then I will put that all together in the collect, kind of like in the summary part of the research. And yeah, I wasn't kind of like explicitly saying, but I'm using different kind of qualitative methods in all these studies. I kind of realized that the methodologies are kind of my weakness at this point. I haven't received that much kind of like training about different methodologies, so I've been currently in discussion with my supervisors, and so that what should we do in practice to create best results. But I'm using qualitative methods in all, and quite varied methods like interviews and such, observations. And so just to go quickly about the preliminary findings. So this is discussing more about the paper about the Tanzanian villages. So we saw that these digital services, they can be a part of sustainable livelihood strategy. They are good in kind of like supplementing the other outcomes. But if the communities move kind of like fully to these outcomes, it would also increase kind of like their vulnerability, because then they have it would suppress the other proposed strategies. But it looks quite promising at this point. And as I mentioned in the beginning, I'm looking to as a kind of like expected result, and what will be kind of like my contribution to the field in this dissertation is that I'm looking to improve or create some kind of framework for making sure that the digital services will form sustainable livelihoods in the future. So that was my presentation. Thank you very much.